Now that we know how to control these shapes with a simple path animation, we'll use this to perform a simple rotoscoping animation. First, let's delete all of the paint strokes by selecting the paint effect in the timeline, or even selecting the paint effect up in the effects control, then using backspace or delete to delete it. Remember, all of these paint strokes are contained in the single effect called paint. Removing that effect removes all of the paint strokes that you may have applied to this layer. We'll change the color of this by clicking on the color chip, then choosing a nice cool blue color. We'll go to the first frame of the composition by typing Home on the keyboard. At the top of our frame, we can draw a small squiggle for a little drop of water. We'll open up the paint effects, then reveal the brush's path and set a keyframe for our path. I'll change this keyframe to a hold keyframe by using Ctrl-Alt-H. Use Command-Option-H on a Mac. This ensures that every new keyframe I create will also be a hold keyframe. I'll page down 3 times to advance 3 frames. Then I'll paint another drop here inside my frame. I'll again page down 3 times and create a longer stroke to indicate this longer drip occurring. Again, page down 3 times and draw the stroke a little shorter. Again, I'll page down a few more times and simply draw a little bubbling effect. Page down 3 more times and 3 more times. I'll draw an even thinner brush by not applying as much pressure with the stylus. Now, if you're painting with a mouse, you can achieve the same thing by changing your brush tip to a smaller radius. I'll move my playhead to 1 second, then type N on the keyboard to close my work area. I'll use 0 on the number pad to create a quick RAM preview. Here you can see that the paint stroke for this blue water hits the ground, but then continues to exist even after the last paint stroke has been drawn. I don't want the water to exist longer than 3 frames after this thin stroke has been drawn. So at the end of the brush layer, I'll select it and drag in to trim this layer to about 3 frames after that last stroke. Now the drop falls to the ground, flattens out, then disappears. We can name the brush stroke by clicking on the brush stroke, then using Enter on the number pad, and we'll call this Water Drop. And use Enter on the number pad to accept the name. Next, we'll deselect the water drop by using F2 on the keyboard, then paint a new stroke, this time with a different color. I can change the brush tip to a larger value by clicking over to Brush Tips, but there's a much easier way to do this. I'll click back so we are not even looking at the brush tips value. Then, inside of the layer window, I'll hold the Control key down, then click and drag either with my stylus or with the mouse to create a larger brush. On screen, you can see the radius of the brush changing. Once I release the mouse, the new brush size has been added. This is a little too big, and so I'll use the Control key or the Command key on a Mac and click and drag to scale this down a little bit more.